All right, everybody. Here's a just a side video topic: food prepping. So, basically, what I have here are some really good items for just long-term storage. If you really do your part, you can get this stuff to last for 5 years or more. Um, so basically, salt just doesn't go bad. So stack up on salt. At least in the United States, you can get salt really cheap. Each of these cans is like 38 cents. So for less than $2, it's like, hey, might as well stock up on salt, because in every historical, uh, you know, book I've read, Joseph Plum Martin's diaries from the Revolutionary War, he's always talking about not having enough salt in his ration. So stock up on salt. Get tomato sauce because it's a good product. Tomatoes have a lot of nutrients, and do it in jars. Don't do it in plastic or cans. The glass doesn't react with the acidity in the jar, so you'll get minimal corrosion. The only thing that could possibly start corroding is just the cap, and that's got some kind of like a coating on the bottom of it. So as long as the majority of your tomato sauce is touching glass, it will not go, get corrosive or bad or anything like that for years and years if you store it properly. Baking soda is another good item for storage. Just make sure it's dry and it can last you a long time. Another seasoning, obviously there's salt, but if you want a little bit more flavor, seasoned salt's a good option because it's got a lot high salt content, but it's still not just salt. You got a little bit of flavor. These are real cheap. You can pick these up for not much. Macaroni, some kind of dry pasta. If you store this stuff properly, it'll last you for a long, long time. This is just elbow stuff from Walmart, 5-pound bag. And of course, rice. This is just the cheapest stuff I could find, but this stuff will last years and years. If you store it, if you know how to store it right, just make sure that there's no moisture, whatever your storage method is or wherever you're at. If you have just a small store of just goods, and a striker, and a flint, and of course water to boil, and a pan, and a little bit of kindling, you can make your meal. And if there's an emergency or something, you can make your meal and not have to worry about, what am I going to do for food? I got all this stored goods. But if you can light a fire, you can cook this stuff. And another thing is real cheap, just some lentils. But all this stuff together, everything here, the seasoned salt, the baking soda, all the salt, the ragu, the macaroni, and this bag, that's $18 US. Roughly. You don't have to buy all this stuff all at one grocery shop. You can, pick up an extra can of salt, because that's always, in an emergency, you always need salt, whether you got to, clean an injury, whether you got to cook with it, clean stuff with it. Just salt's a good thing to have on hand. Flavoring with the sauce and some nutrients, your calories, and your proteins. You can store this stuff for a long time if you know what you're doing. You don't have to have much of it, but just a little bit goes a long way if there's ever an emergency. So anybody outside of the United States, you can still get this stuff really cheap. Don't be afraid to store salt. Salt is gold. It's throughout history, armies paid a part of their wages to their soldiers with salt. So don't be afraid to stock up on salt, because it's always important. But again, just some cheap bulk items will, in the back of your room, just kept fresh or whatever, kept from moisture, in a room temperature. Just make sure that you keep all this stuff away from moisture, and it'll last you a long time. And you can make this stuff anytime you want. So that's just a quick little side note. Just want to make that. I usually make gun videos and stuff, but figured might as well just talk about just food prepping, because that's you can't really survive a civil war or some kind of disaster if you don't have food stuff prepared. And as my kid, and do it in a way where you don't make it obvious that you got a whole bunch of food, like I'm doing, and nobody will bother you about it. So yeah, that's all I have to say. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye bye.